you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are these things that makes it official. Welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. And as always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you, but doesn't judge you. And also, we don't loan you money. Stop asking already. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity, and Chris Voss, Facebook.com. You can see all the groups we have over there. She's the author of the newest, hottest book to come out February 18th, 2025, called Grace Yourself, How to Show Up for the Sober Life You Want, out in February by Chris Janssen. We'll be talking about her story, her insights, and how she helps other people make their lives better. Chris Janssen is a leading results coach in performance and mindset, an award-winning best-selling author whose unique style has energized hundreds of sought-after athletes, creative soldiers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses internationally to close the gap between where they were and where they want to be. Welcome to the show. Chris, how are you?
I am great. Love your intro. I feel like I'm about to go on a roller coaster ride.
That's what we do here.
Need the harness on.
Lock yourself in. So give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
ChrisJanssenCoaching.com. And until book launch, February 18th, GraceYourselfBook.com.
So give us 30,000 overview. What's inside your new book?
Oh, my new book is, the subtitle is How to Show Up for the Sober Life You Want. The subtitle of my first book which is Living All In, How to Show Up for the Life You Want. Mm-hmm. So I say that because I think that is important to, one, get the life that we want, the things we want, the goals we want, and then teaching people tools to show up for that. Showing up, we want to show up when life is good and it's easy to show up. And theoretically, we know it's, a good idea to have a nice positive mindset and show up for things. And also, how do we do that when it's not as easy? And so I give in both books all kinds of tips and tools for showing up when the going gets tough. And in the second one, it is specifically, I share my story with sobriety to help people who may be struggling with an addiction, a harmful habit, controlling thoughts, perfectionism. It doesn't have to be specific to alcohol, but I did have an addiction to alcohol. And so I share that story in order to help and present these coaching tools in the second book.
So can you give us a small synopsis of what that was like and you're dealing with alcohol and overcoming it?
Sure. So, small synopsis. So 2007, I got sober from alcohol. I was a mom of 3 small kids, married, a wife. I still am a wife. We just been married nearly 30 years. The kids are all in their 20s now. Back in 2007, though, I knew something was not right with my relationship with alcohol. I knew I wasn't good at drinking. I knew it was going to kill me if I didn't figure out a way to stop. And I was a housewife at home. I drank while I was cooking. It wasn't obvious to anybody yet. That yet's a big word, yet, except for my husband in the outside. So when I asked people about it, I asked my pastor about it. I hired a therapist and asked about it. I asked my medical doctor about it. And it was, I think people were giving the best advice they knew how to in 2007. Oh, honey, that you don't need recovery, you're fine. I just really looked from the outside like I had it all together. Actually, from the outside, I looked the same way I look today. Yeah. So it was an internal struggle, and I knew I needed to do something. So I did look up a recovery support group in the middle of the night one night, and went the next day to a women's group. It was a 12-step group. And that was the day I had my last drink for 14 years. A woman in the group who knew it was my first time, said, it's not your fault. You have a condition. It's like an allergy, and you never have to have another drink again. And to me, that was this huge belief shift, because I thought I was a monster because I couldn't stop drinking. And which was weird because I was succeeding in all the other aspects of my life. But I took the one thing I couldn't control and made this monster narrative about it. And once I found other people like me who wanted to help me with a solution, it just completely shifted my belief from I'm a monster to I am just an addicted woman deserving of a support group and recovery.
Yeah. You're another human being. You know, we all, that's the beauty of stories and the guests that we have on the show and the books they write and the cathartic lessons they teach each other is you never know who needs this to hear this. What were some of the signs, you know, if I'm out there listening and maybe I'm like, do I have a problem? What were some of the signs that you felt? You know, it sounds like you were kind of what they sometimes term a functioning alcoholic, where you can function from the outside. You know, you're not laying on the ground puking all day long. So you have a functioning thing, but you know you have a problem. You know you maybe have an addiction where you can't say no or you can't stop. What were some of the signs, if people are out there in the audience that maybe are seeing some signs and they're wondering that you were seeing that concerned you?
I love this question. The functioning is yes and no. Functioning if I wasn't drinking, if I was driving the kids to school, if I was pregnant, if I was, functioning if I wasn't drinking. The times when I would drink, though, like I said, if I was home, maybe I put the kids to bed and then said I need to clean up the kitchen and then would get drunk. I was a blackout drunk. I would black out, vomit, almost die. Okay. My husband would have to, it wasn't pretty. And so it was a huge difference of what people saw during the day or when I wasn't drinking. And in alcohol, it's a condition that's progressive. It gets progressive as we age and it's progressive over time. Had I not found recovery when I did, that would definitely, I'm 100% sure that would have started to be obvious in the day, in front of people. I am one of the lucky ones that found recovery. My kids have still never seen me drunk. Yeah.
I went through, we talked about this in the pre-show. I dated a young woman who with 2 kids who had a weekend alcohol problem. And so it was really hidden from me. She kept all the booze down underneath the sink where, just sanitizers are. And that's a place I don't go because I don't clean. Clearly. I haven't bathed in like a year.
Why do that?
Yeah. Why bother?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the aroma, never mind. Anyway, you get used to it. People don't sit by you. It's kind of nice. It's kind of, you get that 6-foot COVID thing going on where people sit 10 feet away from you and you're like, this is nice. I have this whole section of myself.
You figured it out.
It's great when you go on planes too. Anyway, don't do that, folks. But she was a weekend alcoholic. Now, something was kind of interesting about her, if you're out there in the audience listening, was her physiology would change. So she was not a fun drunk. Most of us think when we drink, we're kind of fun and tell some jokes and we're just kind of relaxing and enjoying ourselves. She was the complete opposite. And she would physiologically change. I think that basically the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is built around these type of people. And so she would become a very mean, vicious person when she would drink. And I've seen what it's like to see a 3-year-old daughter cleaning up her mom's puke in the morning, and it's not pretty. So you're lucky that way. She eventually died of potassium deficiency from the alcohol. And, she had plenty of opportunities that we did to get her into things. Her family put her into rehab a couple times. But, demons are demons. And I think it's great that you're telling your story, that you're helping people understand the dynamics of what's out there and what can happen. Because, shame is probably a big thing that maybe sometimes people avoid getting help for alcoholism and other drug addiction. Admitting you have a problem, is the first step.
Yeah, shame and stigma. So I would love for all of us to just, they're useless. Shame is useless. Guilt, I say, I talk about this in the book, can have a little bit, it can guide us a bit if it's healthy guilt, right? Maybe there's a different direction we need to go. don't heap shame on ourselves. Those shame, I do not think ever has a place in our lives. Yeah.
It doesn't really help us get to where we want. In fact, it kind of makes us hide and try and bury whatever is causing us shame more. And, sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. That's why people in AA, when they come out and they go, hey, the first thing is admitting you have a problem. Congratulations, too. I think you said 14 years of being sober.
Right. Yes. I had 14 years. And then this is what inspired me to write the book. And then there was a relapse. And then I had to get sober a second time. And so I'm sober again. So I've been in recovery since I had one situation where I thought after 14 years, I don't think I was, I forgot the whys of why I stopped drinking in the first place. And I go into detail about that in the book. And I thought, I think I was just drinking because I was young. There were all these things. I was holding all this stuff together. And then in 2020, when we were new empty nesters, I didn't have all those things to hold together anymore. I had a lot of time on my hands. I was a life coach, for God's sake. I was a life coach. I'd done all the work, and it's like that person that takes a vitamin to feel better, and then they feel better and think they don't need the vitamin. I fell into the classic story you hear in all recovery meetings. Don't stop going to meetings. Don't leave the sober community. We also moved from California to Colorado, and I couldn't find a group right away and get plugged in. So I just thought, maybe I don't have a problem with alcohol. Maybe I was just using it to kind of numb these things that are now gone. So I picked it up again, and I knew right instantly, I definitely still had a problem. It indeed had progressed, but it is very difficult to get sober a second time. It's difficult. I mean,
really?
Oh yeah. And it's difficult to get sober a first time. So congrats to everybody who's sober or trying to get sober. Wherever anyone's at in their recovery process is phenomenal, but there's a saying in recovery, it's easier to stay sober than get sober. And that is so true. Yeah. So because of that, though, I really, I'm a deep thinker. I love to write. So I wrote this second book as I was, after I got sober the second time, so I wouldn't forget, and that I could not waste the hurt and share it with other people.
Make the world better. Share your story. There's always people that need to hear your story. And there's always that one person only you can help. And until they can hear your story, I've had a number of authors tell me that on the show. There's somebody out there that needs your book. They need to hear your story. You're the only person who's going to get through to them. And so that's why it's so important. So now you transpose a lot of what you learned and talked about into the coaching you do for others. Tell us about some of the different offers and services you do over there.
In Chris Janssen Coaching, if you go to the website, you can see, but basically I do one-on-one coaching. I'm trained. I actually worked for Tony Robbins as a coach. So that's a hardcore training. Yeah. And it's very difficult to become a Tony Robbins coach. So I am forever grateful for that training. I was already a board certified coach before that. However, I was trained in a way to coach anyone, anywhere, anytime. So my belief really is that, I'm coaching somebody on the 80%, the psychology of what they do, where they are doing they're an expert at the 20%, the mechanics of what they do. So I don't need to be an expert at podcasting to coach you in your business as a podcast host, right? Because you're the expert there, and I'm going to work with that and talk to you about the psychology of what you do. So that said, my niche has really, over the years, I've ended up coaching a lot of performers, and I live in LA. So that, I have writers, dancers, athletes, performers, and I think that's a good niche for me. I think that pressure to perform, it's like pressure to be a good mom, pressure is pressure. And so I'm very good at coaching people under pressure, or people that tend to be perfectionistic and tend to self-sabotage. And that's where the addiction and the habits come in. So that's really what my niche has become over the years.
And so do you do any courses or anything like that?
I do. Yes, on my website, I do workshops. I can I can do virtual workshops. With this new book I'm offering where I will host a virtual book club. So I'll facilitate a book club that's in the bundles package in my, on the website and at graceyourselfbook.com. So I also wrote a workbook for this book, which is available, which would be great for book clubs. And I can be hired to come speak to groups.
And you're a board certified coach with a master's in counseling psychology and 20 years of experience too. I mean, that's quite the resume thing to have.
I'm mid, what are we called? We talked about our age before we started recording.
We're over 30 a little bit.
Yeah, we're over 30. So I've had a few years to go to
31,
school. And
32.
yeah, something like that.
We were born in the 1900s. We were joking before the show. Not the 1800s, you kids. Quit writing me on YouTube. Where's this guy from? The Chris Voss Show, the 1800s? Yeah, we started the show rubbing 2 sticks of wood together for fire so we can heat the place first. Anyway, which is funny because I was doing a joke earlier on the prior show an hour ago that I live in a cave. So whoever listened to both these shows back to back will connect the dots there. What have we talked about that you offer out to your clients? What are some things maybe that you help a lot of those clients achieve? What are they struggling with lately that you've maybe found?
Yeah, people are stuck, right? So in a lot of, I love coaching because to me, the difference of coaching and therapy is coaching, we're focused on what works, not what hasn't worked in the past. So we're not going to, and I've tried that. I have my master's in counseling psychology. I myself have been to a lot of therapists. I think therapy is wonderful. I think it can help people heal from a certain thing or certain things. And it's definitely, there's a big place for it. But in coaching, and what I'm really helping people with is not so much healing or going back and talking about one thing, but where do we want to go from here? What is the life we want? What is the business we want? What is the career we want? What is the relationship we want? And then I work with closing that gap, right? And some people either they are plateaued or they've hit a lot. Like I said, I coach a lot of high achievers. So a lot of people are living already in an excellent level, but we coach through the plateau or through that 2% to go from excellent to extraordinary, right? Where a lot of people will be tempted to throw in the towel because a certain outcome didn't work. Well, I'm really good at helping people tweak the strategy and go at it a different angle. I can point out their blind spots. I can see things you can't see. I can see strengths you can't see. And I can partner with people to get where they want to go.
Yeah. Anthony Robbins used to call them scotomas, right? Blind spots.
Yeah. And a scotoma in psychology is good. You've listened to Tony Robbins before. It's, it's basically a pattern. It's a pattern of, we think a way we think because that's how we thought in the past. And I talk about that in the book, actually, a scotoma, because, say I want to be sober and I always used to say I have a pattern of thinking where I always used to drink when I went skiing or something like that. Now, if I'm going to go skiing, my brain's going to think, oh, I should have a drink. So I want to prepare for that. So we work with scotomas to interrupt the pattern, break the pattern, and create a new pattern, and then repeat and condition the new pattern. It's as simple as a muscle at the gym, right? If you go to the gym and you want big biceps, that's not going to happen one time. You've got to go.
I wish it would.
I know. I wish so too. And people sometimes come to coaching or therapy and they want a quick fix. And I think I can do it quicker than quicker than a lot of people, but there's no overnight fix. We do have to condition things in our brain to get these new patterns.
You have to do the work.
We got to do the work. Yep. We can't just manifest millions.
Yeah, I love people that do that. They're like, I'm just going to manifest it. I'm like, you can't manifest muscles at the gym. It would be funny to sit there at the gym and you're like you're just sitting on the front of the gym going, they're like, what are you doing here? You're not working out. And you're
working on my muscles.
I'm manifesting this whole area of workouts, but in my mind.
I've had clients come to me and say, I want to make, a certain amount of money, and they want to do it by manifesting. And so I'm not the coach for them because we need to do work.
You need a little bit more than a vision board, people.
Exactly.
And even then, you probably don't deserve half that shit anyway. Some of the vision board stuff I've seen people do, and I'm not fully knocking it, folks, but you got to do the work. And not everyone's going to be a billionaire. I hate to break it to some people, but the odds are highly stacked against you. You can do all the vision boards you want on it, and you can try and get close. I mean, come on, but if you think you're going to be the next, I mean, I don't think most billionaires ever thought they would be billionaires, or even, it wasn't on their vision board. I think they were just trying to make a couple bucks so they could buy some drinks and get laid. They weren't like, I'm going to change the world. So I think the megalomania kicked in later as soon as they hit some success. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of people have that problem. You reach a certain level. I think Tony Robbins used to call it the temperature control sort of thing, where if you get too hot, you get too cold, you get too successful, you get not enough successful. We kind of tend to play in these plateaus that we get to where, we reach a new level, but then we're kind of stuck there. And, sometimes, we do need somebody to help us look outside of the box and see what we're doing wrong.
We want to get out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Mm-hmm. I'm in my comfort zone now, and I don't make anything. I live in a cave, evidently, according to our last podcast. So there's that. What have we talked about that we want to tease out to people to get them to onboard with you, reach out to you, and get to know you better?
Yeah, thank you. So right now, between today, right this second, and February 18th, I am trying to push as many pre-orders as humanly possible. And the reason for that is just the algorithm game of books and bestseller lists. And the point is not, authors, we don't strike it rich and make money. We write to make an impact. And so the more bestseller lists I can get on, the more of an impact I can make. So if people could go pre-order this book, tell their friends about it, you will be helping me help other people. You will be saving lives, because that's ultimately what I'm trying to do with this.
Only you can help Chris put out forest fires, folks.
Yes.
Personal forest fires.
Yes, friends, please.
Yeah, I used to get that from Smokey the Bear all the time. I was 8 years old. He's only you can stop forest fires. I'm like, I'm 8. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Freaking bear. Anyway, so it took me a while to figure that one out, but I try everything I can. Sometimes I just take a glass of water and pour it out on the ground just to try and do my part. I don't know if it's working or not, but
8-year-old you doing his part.
I'm so scarred from it. I'm going to therapy for it right now. So thank you very much, Chris, for coming on the show. Give us your final pitch out to people, where they can find the book, .coms, all that good stuff.
Yep. Follow me at Chris3 Janssen on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook at Chris Janssen Coaching. Go to my website, chrisjanssencoaching.com. I'll keep it updated. You can find my services there. You can sign up for coaching there. And most importantly, pre-order Grace Yourself there or where books are sold. And please check out graceyourselfbook.com to find out about the bundles, all the things I've created for people who want to buy in bulk right now, which would be so helpful for groups, book club facilitation, workshops. You can get my workbook, all of that good stuff.
Thank you very much, Chris, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. Loved it.
Thank you. And thanks to our audience for tuning in. Remember, if you think you have a problem, reach out. There's a number you can dial. I believe it's 988 if you're having mental health issues or issues with other things. And you can talk to someone, I believe, for free. They have a service where, they can refer you to people that can get help. But the first thing is to ask for help. You have to, you have to advocate for yourself. And it doesn't hurt to ask for help. I mean, you may not have a problem. You may maybe you have something that's manageable, or maybe you need some bigger help. But feel free to reach out. Don't stay in your place alone if you're struggling. That's my message. And right now it's the holidays. We're kind of in between, Christmas 2024 and New Year's 2024. This is a time where people kind of struggle and ponder about where they're at in life. Don't be afraid to reach for help. There's no shame in it. You're a much bigger person if you do. Pick up our book wherever fine books are sold. Grace Yourself, How to Show Up for the Sober Life You Want, out February 18th, 2025. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us out.